Anyone would open the doors. We know that you need a pot. They would give them a pot. Go to the next door, give them a set of plates. Go to the next door, right around that area. The next Sabbath, you see this little church here, no space. Everyone has come because of the pots and the plates and the spoons and the forks and the knives. Simple ministry, attending to the needs of the community. And young people in Solomon Islands are actively engaged in that. So I thank God for these young people. But my message this morning, I'd like you to see these three people. These three people are very significant to the Solomon Islands mission. This man here is our boss. And I know you know him because he's been here. He was once part of a church here in Wantok Church. We see him as a visionary. He's the one that has the big vision for our mission. And we believe God has placed him there for a reason. Our next man down there is this is Pastor Lawrence Tana, the president of Solomon Islands Mission. Next to him is our general secretary, Pastor Benjamin Asa. And we'd like to see him as the mission man. And then we have our, so full that he just can't stand. He's so heavy and he needs to sit down. And that's our treasurer. And he's the man who's ready there to do the action once the advice comes from the boss. But these three are very important to our mission. And we thank God for them. They've helped us, they've looked after. We've come into office for this quinquennium. But my thought this morning, I'd like to ask you to tell me what you see there. What do you see? I plus you. I plus you. That's a very interesting concept in that I plus you. It comes from this word here, attitude. In the islands where I come from, attitude, we say, hem osemna, one that you will be more familiar with. It says, a settled way of thinking, feeling about someone or something, a settled way of thinking. That's attitude. But attitude you cannot see if you don't have, let me try and correct my thinking. Because now I have to convert from pidgin into English. There has to be two or more of you in order for you to see what attitude is. If there's only you won't be able to see it. You have to have someone there to see the contrast. Okay? I hope that is clear. Demonstrated in this story here. There were 12. These were the elite. Very, very specific. Given them, they had to accomplish it, and only they were chosen. I'd like to see this here this morning. You, for some reason, are here because you were chosen to come. And God told Moses, you choose you are God's best here this morning. God has no second grades, has no third grades. We have a special tuna in Solomon Islands, and you have all the grades, special, first grade, and then you have the third grade. God doesn't see us that way. We are all equal in God's sight. And God has chosen you for something special. So he sent these 12 out. When you are called out to do a special errand, you'd like to blend in, You don't want to act differently because they will see you and say, oh, no, this person here is different. He doesn't blend in, he doesn't fit in well. These spies were from 12 different tribes in in Israel. They had different cultures, they had different mindsets, and they all had different attitudes. They saw things differently. But they were given one task, and that was to go and spy out the land. You see, the children of Israel were just at the border of the promised land. Just there. And so God told them, chapter 13 and verse 1. If you go to the book of Numbers. Numbers chapter 13 and verse 1. God gave the instruction. You see, God always gives us instructions. But He doesn't force us to follow those instructions. He asks us. The Lord said to Moses, saying, send men to spy the land of Canaan, which I am giving you, the children of Israel. From each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, everyone a leader among them. So God specifically asked to send these 12. And these were not just ordinary men. He said they have to be leaders. Because they have to be people who will be respected by their tribes. So God asked for this 12. One mission, and that was to go and spy on that land that they were ready to take. God promised their forefathers. So the vision was Canaan. God was the one who was seeing this vision for them. And He says, this is what I want you to do. Canaan, don't go and fight, don't go and do anything, just go and spy the land. That was the plan. If you like it in today's term, that was the strategic plan. Yeah? That was a strategic plan. And they had to actually engage in that. They had to move. They had to go. They had to do that action. We should go. There were two differing attitudes. So they went. This is their task. Sorry, this is the task God had said them in chapter 13 and verse 17. This is what they were to do: to spy. Go to the land of Canaan, God said. Go up the way to the south, up to the mountains, and see what the land is like. First, you find out what the land is like. If I plant potatoes today, will you harvest them tomorrow? If I plant some pawpaw or pineapple, how long does it take? Or what's the land like? Is it fertile? My Bible says, find out whether the people there are strong or weak. Are they strong or weak? Are they many or are they few? What are the cities like? What are their walls like? Whether the land is rich or whether the land is poor. Whether there are forests. Back home, evidence. Bring us some evidence. We want to see the evidence. The people who want to see some evidence. So let's go. Let's take up the land. God has already promised our forefathers that that is our land. Let us go and take it. But there were 10 others that said in chapter 31, verse 31, but the man who had gone up with him said, we can't attack those. 2 people said, we are able to take that place. And 10 people said, we can't. Who would we naturally follow? Yeah, we'd go with the 10. Because that's logical. But you see, God doesn't work in our human logic. God is a God of the opposites. You know? Water into a jug. God says, I'll turn that into wine. God is a God of opposites. Definitely to our thinking. He doesn't follow our logic. He follows His own logic. And He would like us to see what He can do. And so these people said, we aren't able to go. But you see, these two, Joshua and Caleb, they saw what God saw. That's why they were confident in saying, we should go up and take possession of the land. Even though we are in the minority, let us go. Unfortunately, the other 10 that spread the bad report, they were the ones who got the support. Now, in a government system, everything, unlike God, God does not work with the majority. He likes to work with the minority. When He came into this world, He did not spend too much time with the leaders the political leaders, the church leaders of his time. He came and he mingled with the sinful people. Those low-class people, those who were treated like outcasts. Those are differing attitudes. They were just our life. Our attitude, each one of us here, individually as we speak. Whether you go to church every time or whether you do not go to church, maybe it's the first time, your attitude will determine how you approach life. If your attitude is entwined or you have a strong relationship with Jesus, then you will have a positive look at life. If it's vice versa, then you will not see what I am living for. So our attitude has a very, very much big effect on how we approach life. Number 2, our attitude determines our relationship with people. These are facts. Our attitudes determine our relationship with. How we relate to people depends much on our attitude. Some people, they like them very much because how they are, the attitude towards them. Others, not so much. When I say these points, I'd like to look at myself. You look at yourself. Where do I fit in this? Where am I standing? Our attitude is often the only difference between success and failure. If you fail, you say you revisit what you've been doing. Why did I fail? I've done this. Attitude is not automatically good. Just because I am a pastor. Just because I'm a pastor, that means automatically my attitude will be good. Just because I'm a church, I worship every Sabbath, that automatically means my attitude will be good. Don't believe that. Our attitude is not automatically good just because I say I belong to God. I can claim that I belong to God. But my attitudes can also show that I'm not God's. And that's the danger. You see, we had, during the first few two years that we were at the office, we had a team building workshop. And you see in our team here, we have these few boldies. There's a little child here and some ladies, young people. We had a variety. And this little boy here, he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there. He's just looking as these our mature people are doing. This young boy here, he's actually holding on to a straw, trying to look at what can I do? Likewise. But this doesn't mean that this young boy and this boy are not part of the team. They are all part of the team. And so they started to build this straw house. This is another activity that we engaged in. And you see these two little boys here. This man did not say to this boy, "Hey, you get out. You're going to make our team lose because you're too small." This is our Mrs. Tana, Rosina Tana. She's a teacher, so she's very familiar with how to get to the level of young people. So she knelt down just above, same height as these two young boys here. And what they were to do is to fill in water from the sea. The idea is not who is to win. The idea is how we can work together. How we can work together. And this is another activity that we engaged in. I'd like you to see this. I'm not sure how this will work, but let me just... I used to be an IT worker, but they sacked me because of some... I just wanted you to see me. Work in a team, you will have distractions like this. You see, you have Satan there coming to some distractions, taking your attention away. And in life, it's like that. You always have distractions. There are things that, that distract you. Maybe it might be work, maybe it might be your business, that just takes you away from your focus. And some people say that ladies are very, they work together well. This didn't happen so well. But I would like you to notice this team here, this one here. This is one of our directors in the office. And in his team is this little boy here, this lady, this young girl here, this mother here, and this little boy. And they were trying to, everyone was going past them. They were so slow. But the idea of this activity is not. You see the leader? Very, very acrobatic. This team here, they go to the end, but they never finished the line. Along the way, 2 of their members dropped out. So there are just 3 of them. But like I said, the idea of this finish together. I see One Talk Church as a team working together. This were building this, and they had just one little straw, this straw here. Just this little straw here left. And they couldn't, it was too high for them. They could not achieve that. And so this is what Pastor Lawrence Tanner did. He took this little girl here, put her on his shoulder, and told her to hold this straw up. And they completed the task. This just tells us that everyone is important in God's work. Everyone is important. This girl here, when she grows up, she will forget everything, but she will never forget this day when the president of Solomon Islands Mission put her on his shoulder. That meant something. That will be the lasting thing that will stay on this little girl's mind. What if he to sit on his shoulder? He would die. Literally die. Because at that time, something close to that. So the logical thing to do was to use this little girl here. And she completed the task. All of us here have something special that God can do and use us for. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what background you come from. It doesn't matter who you are. God is interested in you. And He wants to use you in His team. Why not be a part of God's team? The world sees God's team as a losing team. But I tell you, that's not the fact. God's team has already won. God has already won when Jesus died for us on Calvary. We are on a winning side. There's nothing Satan can do to change that. He could not hold a Jesus in the grave. Just overnight, he could not hold him overnight in the grave. Jesus rose again that very early morning. You may believe it or you may not believe it, but that is a fact of life. Jesus is coming back soon. And He wants you to be on His team. There may be just one of you or 2 of you. You may be in that losing team, you say, to what the world sees. But I'll just use it. Who cares what the world sees? It is what God sees that is more important. And God sees all of us here as winners. Even though we are in the minority, when God is with us, we are already the majority. May God bless you. May God bless us all as we contemplate on that, knowing that we have to strengthen our relationship with God daily. Let us be in His team. He is our leader. He will guide us. He promised to never forsake us. And may we trust Him. And may we find peace and rest in Him, is my prayer and my thought for us this morning. God bless.